decided to make all of the Daedric shrines look more Skyrim-like. But then I visited Azura, and she was way more toned down and covered up than even the Skyrim version. Whereas in the original Oblivion, she looked like this. And if more Skyrim-like was the goal here, why didn't they change the Molec statue to look like it does in ESO?
Well, it's obvious the reason why. I mean, they're censoring and changing the game in order to make it more in line with their worldviews in real life. That's the reason why. It's obvious. I mean, if you look at this kind of stuff and you don't come to that conclusion, you're being dishonest. Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah.
This depiction of him is arguably better known even, but they decided to stick to the original. Now here's where the consistency falls through, and this is what kind of makes me question the purpose of changing these things at all. Now maybe they missed this, but interestingly, they also didn't change the Mermaid Statue in Anvil. In fact, I think they maybe even improved her a little bit with the pose, but
yeah, they did.
That's just my opinion. Other than that, where I thought they might censor her.
And this is another element of like the weirdness of like this like weird sexual censorship.
Yeah, she's good, Dylan.
They have no problem. I don't know if you guys have noticed this with a lot of games, is that a lot of these video games have no problem making very sexualized characters that don't have humanoid traits. Like, for example, like they have like that Flame Atronach, who like still has a big ass, or they have like this mermaid, or they have things like this. But there's always some form of thing that makes them inhuman to make it some form of like safe horny. Have you guys noticed this before? Like I've seen this like probably 10 or 15 times now.
Minoan outfits.
Okay. Very weird.
Now at this point in the video, I know somebody has probably thought of the Spider Daedra. So yes, I did decide to take a closer look at that as well. So my take on this is, they don't look bad. They retain pretty much the same essence, although I would have liked to see...
Again,
I didn't see this in game.
Look at it through that lens from now on.
That bright red incorporated into their outfits, but it's fine. However, if we address the elephant in the room, their chest is visibly smaller. Let's stop for a second and think who the Spider Daedra are. They are closely associated with the Daedric prince Mephala. Mephala, who is the prince of lies, sex, murder, and secrets.
Oh my gosh.
A prince that uses seduction to get closer to mortals and
know where she's going.
Get them entangled in her cunning web.
So she gotta have some big ass titties for that. Yeah, exactly.
Daedra are the perfect ambassadors for such a prince.
Yep.
And so having a more exaggerated chest, like they did in the original, would have been arguably more lore accurate and in character.
Of course.
Man, Angelica has done a research, basically. Angelica has put the same amount of research that I put into my deep analyses videos, the ones where I go like really deeply to the sources. That's what she's done. She's done the same thing. She's actually bringing in the sources. Oh, that's so funny.
No, this is by no means a horrible change that completely ruins the game. But I wonder about the message that it sends.
Welcome back, Captain.
Even in a scenario where the female body tells a part of the story and lore, they choose to tone it down like it's a bad thing. And it's not like Oblivion is a game where historically all women had super exaggerated bodies and jiggle physics and lots of focus on that sort of thing. So this also meant that having something more open and out there, or откровенное, like we say in Russian, made it that much more effective.
Yeah.
If people are worried about over-sexualization, let's be real, those who really want to make things more exaggerated and blown out of proportion will mod that right into the game. But that does not mean that we can't have tasteful depictions of the female form in the game by default.
Well, this is the thing, is that there's no one who hates attractive women more than unattractive women. And I think this is what's happened a lot, is that, and you see this, I think the best example of it is the amount of animosity and hostility that, for example, like fat women have towards women who are not fat.
Right.
They will constantly body shame women who aren't fat. They'll, you know, like try to like say, oh, you're not skinny enough. There's something wrong with you. Where's your tits? Like, oh, you don't have any curves, etc. You've seen this many, many times, right? And so, and it's also like, obviously, like being overweight is only one aspect of it. I think that there are a lot of other aspects as well.
She's on YouTube,
if you think that like I am mean about this kind of stuff, or like any guy is mean, you should see some of these girls' group chats that get leaked. Like I look like a fucking saint. I look like I'm a nice guy compared to them. They are fucking savage. They recognize shit I didn't even know existed. Yeah, so basically we're facing the ire of women working on these games. I don't know if it's like necessarily women working on the games, because I don't think all the women are like that. What are your thoughts on the sexualization setting that allows you to dynamically turn it on based on gamers' preference? That way there's nothing to argue about. I don't know about that. I mean, I feel like that's just more work, right? I mean, I think you should. No,
I wouldn't have a problem with that. If there sometimes you can remove nudity from games, allow it, remove it. I appreciate the option, I guess. I don't see that as a problem. So no, I wouldn't have a problem with that. If you want to put a little bar that you can move around, what do you call it? Then whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, it's more choice for the player. I don't have a problem with that.
Do the thing that 90% of people want. Like that's generally what I think you should do. You should do, like, if there's 90% of people on one side of an issue, you just do that thing. For probably more like 95 or 99.
Tasteful. I mean, they fit perfectly into their world and story.
Angelica. Was Oblivion censored?
But they actually have been censoring the new Oblivion.
All of this censorship and hiding of the female figure is a really weird way to remaster something.
Well, it's women that don't like women that are attractive. And it's men that think that they can... This is another thing, too, is that these women exist in an ecosystem of simp men that will be obedient to them and agree with them about everything because these men want to fuck them. That's the reason why. And it's a form of them signaling that, oh, I'm one of the good ones. That's the reason why.
Women should be more covered up and toned down in general. It's especially difficult to understand when you see that, again, for the male characters, this was not at all changed. Speaking of Daedra...
Yeah, so I'm actually starting to understand it. The people that do these things, mark my words, they don't do it to defend women. They do it to get one over to the men. Because how dare you be attracted by a woman who doesn't look like me because she's conventionally attractive. If I had to guess, I would say that's what it is. Probably. 100%. That's what I think it is. 10,000%. I'm just having like a moment of clarity. That's what it is.
Or One Direction.
As buff, as detailed, and as shirtless as ever. Why is this okay, but this is not? I will say, they did put shorts on the zombies, which again... Consistency, I don't know.
Also, the zombies looked better in the original. This is the original on the right. Zombies on the left, it's one of the assets that I actually prefer in the original, because even though, yeah, of course, it's a more modern asset when it comes to texture, the zombie on the left looks like a generic zombie that you could find in any game about zombies. But the zombie on the right has a fantasy dark magic feel to it. And it also is very typical with this green skin hue, kind of grayish. And then the looks of it, sometimes they are without a head, if you remember. There is something very recognizable and original about the zombies assets in the original Oblivion.
It's really weird. Let's look at the Shivering Isles, the famous saints and seducers. The interesting thing about their societies is that they are matriarchies, and this is so deeply ingrained in their being that we even see it in how armor is modeled after females and not males. So the male variant of the seducer armor and the saints armor is actually much more revealing and feminine on the men. One weird thing that I noticed, again related to the chest area, is that it almost seemed more detailed and more modern in the OG version of Oblivion than it does in the remastered.
Yeah, that's probably because the guys that made the original game spent a lot more time on this.